Thank you for having me here today. I definitely feel welcomed. Before I start, I wanted to ask a few questions. How many of you guys understand and know the power of God's love in your life? Great, see a lot of hands. How about God's redemption? Great. And finally, how about his faithfulness? Good. So these are some of the things that I've been just reflecting on in my own life, growing up in the foster care system. These things I would say growing up, I did not necessarily feel these things until I was able to look full circle and to realize that God's redemption, love, and faithfulness have always been surrounded by me. So at birth, I was already considered an orphan because I had been left in the hospital by my parents. Both of them were involved in criminal activity, drugs, alcohol, and were just impoverished, didn't know how to take care of me. And so at the age of 6 months, my great aunt learned that there were three of us, my older brother and my younger sister and I, that were in the foster care system, and wanted to know if she could take care of us. And so during that time, I would say that from the ages of 6 to 10 months, I lived with my great aunt, and while I'm so grateful that she took us out of the foster care system, I don't necessarily know if she was prepared to really handle us. And so I had experienced different types of abuse and neglect. I was often locked in the basement, and by the age of 6, I had already experienced sexual abuse, emotional abuse, and physical violence. And so for me, I didn't really understand the power of God's love or redemption during that time, and I often felt rejected and abandoned. And so by the age of 10, my mom had straightened out her life and took the three of us back into her home. And I thought that it was going to be a time where it was just going to be a family. It would be great. I was really excited. But abuse and neglect continued to persist. And so my mom at the time no longer wanted to hurt us. And so she thought it would be best that we would go back into the foster care system. And so by the age of 12, I was separated by my siblings and went into foster care. And I would say in the span of 5 years, I had moved around over 3 times. And I didn't necessarily feel loved in those homes. I felt like my foster parents were in it for the money. I felt that I just wasn't one of their own. I was just another number. And so I went through the foster care system, again, not necessarily feeling God's love. And by the age of 18, this is a transition period where it's kind of like, what do you do? As you're exiting the foster care system, a lot of foster youth are wondering and questioning what's next. And so I was told that I should stay in the foster home because I was going off to college. And so when I went off to school, I went into a very intensive program, but learned like a week later that my foster mom was no longer being paid to take care of me, and I needed to leave within the week. So I had to gather all of my things, and so when I went to return back to the home, my stuff was already in garbage bags waiting for me at the door. And so for me, again, this was a really difficult time. I wasn't really sure, what my purpose was, what God had in store for me, but God always comes at the right time. I met a mentor when I was in high school. I actually met her at the church, and she immediately took me under her arms and wanted to really help me succeed. So she helped me fill out college applications. She helped me just do all sorts of things. But most importantly, she really taught me about the importance of God's love. And so for me, I think that was definitely a turnaround point in my life. And so last summer, God even had bigger plans. I was accepted. I'm actually from Boston, and so I was in Boston. And I had just graduated from college and had learned of a program called the Congressional Coalition on Adoption Institute, where Allison Coble graciously extended for me to come and do the program. So I got accepted into the program where I had an opportunity to work on Capitol Hill and to work in Senator Grouse's office and to work on his child welfare portfolio, as well as just give my ideas and just different things that I think should help improve the foster care system. And within that, I had an opportunity to write a policy report. And so I focused on key recommendations to help build up a better and stronger child welfare system. And so through that, I had an opportunity to present that report to both members of Congress and to the White House Domestic Policy Council. And from that experience, the White House extended an invitation for me to come and intern with them in their office. And I would say that was a really cool experience because I was able to, again, further the president's agenda on foster care and child welfare issues, as well as of a host of other issues. And so God just does awesome and wonderful things. And from that experience, I had an opportunity to work within the small group where the president, for the first time in the administration, extended for foster youth and disconnected youth to come to the White House and to experience Take Our Daughters and Sons to Work Day, because each year youth are left out of that. And from that experience, I was asked if I would be willing to introduce the First Lady, and got to do that and meet her. And it was just such a really, really cool experience. And so God has just been so great to me. There are times when I don't necessarily know why I'm here, how I made it, but it's because of God's love and his faithfulness in my life that has allowed me to do this. But most importantly, he has placed people in my life. I may not necessarily have a biological family that stands by me, but I have a support system who is always there. And so for me, I would say that mentors have been super important in my walk. And so for this church, I just want to encourage you all. I know that many of you all are maybe have already adopted, are thinking about adopting, or thinking about mentoring. And I would just encourage you all to really think about that, because Orphan Sunday is a call for the church to really dig deep into our hearts and to recognize that each of us have a space and a place, either in our homes or in our heart, to take care of someone who is fatherless or motherless. And so I just want to encourage you guys, if you guys have any questions about more of my journey or what it looks like to mentor or what it looks like to adopt, I'll be in the back at the end of the service, and I would love for you guys to come say hello. I love people. But at the same time, as we go out into this world, as we go out and we do what God is asking us to do, I just want us to remember to aspire to inspire before we expire. Thank you very much.